everybody. I'm Helen Pritchard. I help entrepreneurs get leads from LinkedIn without sending any DMs, and also run the business mastermind. I'm a maverick, but I'm also a romantic and a ruler. So I help, so I run a couple of masterminds. So I have the LinkedIn mastermind and the business mastermind. So my initial thing is always to help people how to master LinkedIn, basically. So how to use LinkedIn, the most boring platform in the world, to actually generate leads for their businesses without sending any DMs. Wasn't what I thought it was going to be when I grew up, but you know, we've sold over £3 million worth of training just on that thing, which is brilliant and amazing. And all the credit goes to Denise, to be honest. When I first hit my 7 figures, I was like, all down to Denise Duffield-Thomas. I've done the same as Denise does. I teach one thing and I teach it to people over and over again, and the work is the work and the work's never changed. And then after I built that business up into multi-millions, I started the business mastermind, which helps entrepreneurs start and scale online businesses.
So the first round of questions, and Kira, we're going to start with you. Kira, then Natalie, then Deborah, Gemma, Kim, and then Helen, you're going last on this one, is when you got the quiz results for SMA, was it a surprise, or is this something that you've always known about yourself, that you like to break rules? Have people, you know, told you, or have you gotten negative feedback from it? Or, you know, was it a surprise, or did you just go, yeah, that is me?
Oh, so when I got Maverick, I was like, of course I did. I was like, I really wanted it. And when I got it, I was like, yes, I always get what I want. This is brilliant. I was like, I was so pleased to have it, because all of my life I got moved up a year at school. So I went to school a year early. So I was 10 when I went to high school. So I was already different to everyone else, you know. And then I got the older boyfriend, I dropped out of school, but then I managed to just come back and get all my exams. You know, I've always done things differently to everyone else, and it's made, over the years, I'd say it's probably caused me quite a lot of hardship in a way. I wasn't particularly popular at school, got bullied, you know, and then I had a mental health breakdown, and then I was in a hospital. So it's almost like I was always doing things that other people weren't doing, weren't conforming. And I just think when I found entrepreneurship, I was like, oh, this is it. Like, I can create things out of nothing. Like, it's like magical. I was like, I couldn't believe it. The first time I trained as a holistic therapist first, and the first time someone gave me £40 in cash and they said, thank you very much, I was like, wow, like I've created that money out of nothing. I felt like a complete magician, and I was hooked from then on in. But buying into Money Bootcamp was the scariest thing I've ever done. I did not have the funds in place. I put it on a credit card. I was shaking. But as soon as I got in there, it kind of stopped my maverick in its tracks, because at the time, I think I paid $1,500 to get in, and there was 2,000 people in the group. And I remember sitting on my chair and doing the maths and thinking, oh, okay, right. So I've done all these other things, but if I just sell one thing, and I stopped doing all the other things, and I just create a million different ways to sell the same thing, like all roads lead to bootcamp, right? For me, it's like, I've got a mastermind, all roads lead to this training. And even my training is completely maverick, because, you know, everyone else in the LinkedIn world seems to talk about sending lots of DMs, you know, getting obsessed with what time to post, focusing on engagement. And I'm like completely the opposite. I'm like, we don't send any DMs, we don't care what time you post, we don't, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's completely different. And when I first kind of launched into the world of the online world, you know, very naively thinking everyone's going to love me, this is going to be great, because this, you know, everyone seemed to hate me, and it wasn't great. And I was like, oh, but I think, you know, a lot of people were triggered because I was teaching things that nobody else had really taught before, because it was completely against everything. So definitely that's where Maverick showed up for me. But realizing that I can create magical opportunities to sell the same thing over and over and over and over again has just been such a gift to me. But the roller coaster of the money that I think Mavericks seem to love, like I love it. Like I love it. And I wish I had, like you say, more of the accumulator and the nurturer to kind of steady that ship a little bit. But, you know, when I did 7 figures in 2020, and I just remember sitting there going, where's my marching band? Like, where's my big hair? Like, what happened? Like, I thought something would happen. I was just sat on my own in January in my office, you know. But then I was kind of like, well, I've done that now. I don't need to do that again. I can go to smaller launches. I don't need to spend so much on Facebook ads. And, you know, just, it's almost like I just like see opportunities. I want to do it. I want to tick the box. And once I've done it though, I'm like, oh, I'm good with that. I want to do something else now. So now I'm going back to selling the same thing, but in a different way to different people. So for me, Maverick was like, I'm so pleased I've got it. I would never want to do the quiz again in case something else came up. I know when I was looking at investing, they did my investment like risk. And they were like, you were the highest we've ever had, like you were sort of like 90 out of 100. And I'm just like, hey, I'm going to Vegas on Thursday. And I just think that this is life's a game to play. It's like you all come in with the same amount of chips. You're going to leave with the same amount of chips. So you might as well play it full out while you're here. And for me, entrepreneurship as a maverick has been a gift from God, because it allows me to play the game, have fun with it, the ups, the downs, the wins, the losses, the drama of it, So yeah, it wasn't a huge revelation to me, but I was really pleased to come out as a maverick for sure.
So the next question, and I've put it in the thing too, of I want you to think back to your childhood. So Kira, you've already mentioned too that, was it your mum or your grandma that called you Miss Missy? And I want to hear like even more about this stuff, right? So we're going to start with Natalie, and I want you to think like, where has this come out? Because for some of you, I'm hearing it's not necessarily about rebellion. For some of you, it's about being bold or courageous, or seeing things that don't work, or being extra, or sparking a flame in something. So think back to some of this comes out really early, like at preschool, you go, no, this is stupid, I'm not going to do it. Or you led a rebellion in your primary school because of, I don't know, some stupid rule. And then the thing that came out too, what did your family, did they have a nickname for you? Did they ever say things like, it's your way or the highway, or, you can't have your cake or eat it too. So, or were you called stubborn, or, just where did it come back? So just think about that from a young age. Where did that little baby maverick come in? We're doing Natalie first, then Deborah, Gemma, Kim, Helen, and then Kira, you're last on that one.
I think I was born a maverick because I was the product of my parents' new relationship. So they had 2 daughters each, and then they came together and they had me. So I was kind of born different. I was born like the new child into this blended, as we'd say now, family. But in the 70s, I don't think it was quite as, common. So I just remember being at a party when I was like in my teens, and someone going, oh, you're their daughter, like, and I remember like my dad's ex-wife not wanting me to be around, goes to the house and stuff like that. So it was all, I kind of remember being different right from the beginning. And I think as a small child maverick, it was always, it's all right for you, you get away with murder. You can do what you want, you're the special one, all that kind of stuff. And so I think that was kind of underlying. And then when I was bright, like him, I was bright, I could read, because I was the youngest of 5 girls. When I went to primary school, I could already read and write, because when we played school, I was obviously the pupil. So like I had to be the pupil while they were the teachers. So I could already read and write. So when I got to primary school, they didn't know what to do with me, and I was a bit awkward and a bit weird. And I just aced, I was in, qualified for Mensa and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like I was the big hope. My parents were like, you're going to go to a grammar school, you'll go to university. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I just kind of went to high school a year early, got bullied for being different, dropped out of school, partied hard in the 90s, just didn't do the things I was supposed to do. So I didn't conform to the expectations of the people around me. And I didn't feel like I fitted in. And I took a lot of risks with my own personal safety, with the people that I was hanging around with the actions, as a mother of teenage daughters. Like, I'm kind of like, my daughters behave like I was, without my parents' knowledge, obviously, that would really concern me. I'm super close with them, and they know that I've had that kind of past, but that maverick in me was definitely right there, right through, school, university. I dropped out of university because I met a boy with a Sierra Cosworth, and I thought that would be a better idea, went into recruitment. So this whole of not doing the things I was supposed to be doing has definitely been a theme. This is what I mean when I say entrepreneurship saved me, because I was like, oh cool, I can just be ridiculous. I've been fired from so many jobs. I fired from a job where I was supposed to be processing invoices because we don't need any more ideas for the website, Helen, constantly being told, trying to do things that basically I wasn't being asked to do. I was just doing them anyway, and that's what obviously I love about being in business. But definitely my whole childhood, just not quite fitted in, not quite, And to find out that that is actually a part of my personality and a part of the way that I handle money, you know, taking huge risks with my finances over the years, right from an early age, you know, and even now, you know, I'm going to Vegas on Thursday. I'm getting married in 4 months. I've just bought £1 million+ house. It's kind of like, let's just do all the things at once. And, you know, the things that most people will probably spread out over 3 or 4 years, I'm like, let's just do them over 3 or 4 months. It's all going to be all right. It's like, it's fun, right? You know, and I don't know if my husband to be is I don't want to say he's a maverick, but he's not he's a risk taker, but I can see he's like massively come out of his comfort zone, but he's kind of enjoying the ride. You know, he's an entrepreneur as well. He's got his own businesses, but it's kind of like, you know, just encouraging other people around me to take more risks, because to me, more risks, more fun. Like, it's more fun. Like I say, it's a game, let's play it. So yeah, it's interesting question, Denise, when you go back in time and you just see that pattern through the whole of your childhood of not conforming, taking risks, you know, being reckless at times, you know, with yourself and with your money, but kind of having that knowing of it's all going to be okay. Like, I've got beautiful, wonderful parents. Like, I was always felt like it was a completely safe space for me to take risks. You know, I've got a great relationship now, again, a safe space for me to take risks. And I think that's also been a feature that I've always had, a soft landing as well. I know that everyone has that, and I'm extremely grateful for it. So I think it's been allowed me. And when I was single and building my business, so for the first 3 years I was single, and that was really part of my identity. And I was like, look at me, I do it my own, I'm a single mom, and, you know, for women, all the rest of it. And then getting into a relationship where I felt, who I manifested after your event in London, by the way, Denise, because he said, when we did our future year, and I wrote married to my soulmate in 5 years, we will be married 6 months, you know, just before it's 5 years. So thanks for that as well. But, you know, being in a loving relationship, and I always thought that would make me soft and not as good at business, you know, has actually made me much more nurturing and gentle in the work that I do, and much more able to take maverick like risks, knowing that I've got somebody to catch me emotionally and financially if I need it, and, you know, to be there to support me. So I think it's been really interesting. You know, money, relationships, it's all interlinked, isn't it? And I think my inner child maverick is now feeling like she's finally got a safe haven. So yeah, really interesting question. Thank you.
Where is this showing up in your business? So here's the question, and I'll just put it in the comments, is like, how is your maverick showing up and sabotaging your business? But what was the aha around SMA for that? And so I've got a couple of things here of like, you know, have you burnt it all down? Have you gone into risky spaces? That Gemma, what you were saying about wanting to test the roller coaster, you know, which was just perfect for a maverick, right? Because it's like the comfort of the roller coaster. Or is it going, I am not going to do that, even though it would be useful for me. So going to that extreme, or just going, that's stupid, or worrying about the roles, like what you just said, Kira, there about, I want to do things differently. I don't want to do the same role as anyone else. So like, where is that sabotaging you in your business specifically? And, you know, were there any ahas that you got around that shifted things? And Deborah, you're first on this one, and then Gemma, and then go around, and then Natalie, you're last on that one.
I don't burn things down. I have stayed doing the same thing for 5 years, which I'm quite proud of, because, you know, normally I was leaving jobs every 2 years. So to stay for 5 years, I'm quite proud of saying the same things, selling the same thing. But I made it so easy. So when I started to scale and I did 5-day challenges, and it was just as simple as the more Facebook ads spend, the more money we make. And we knew the numbers, we knew the percentages, it became very predictable. We were spending £20,000 on Facebook ads, making £250,000 at a launch. I got bored, and I stopped doing 5-day challenges and launches. It was really weird. When I look back, I was like, I did loads in 2020, which is why I had such a big year. And all the money that we made, I just gave it to other people. So I just hired people everywhere for everything. I was like, oh, you're an expert in this. You can do this. You can do this. And I think because I was so visible, I talk so much about my money. And everyone was like, oh, cool, of course we can charge Helen this extortionate amount, right? Of course we can do that. And I was hiring people everywhere. I had this huge convoluted team, talking about £70,000 a month run rate in people, including my own, and I was paying myself great money. It's only money. Yeah, we could just make more money. We just invest more in Facebook ads and we can just do the same thing again and again and again. And it just got to this point where I was like, this is insane. Like, this is even by my risky standards, this is getting silly and very risky. And, a 1% change on the conversion, or, a 5% increase in lead cost. And suddenly those things got massively amplified. And I think even though I'm super risk taker, I was kind of like, this is getting silly now. And it's almost like I'd done what I set out to do. I'd done this big scale, built this big team. And I just decided to just change the model. And I kind of set fire to a very successful lead gen strategy. And I've changed it to just a different thing of smaller launches, less risk, just targets that are achievable rather than insane. I don't know, it's just been, I think there's the maverick in me that almost burnt out of maverick energy of like, this is a lot, regrouped massively, fell in love, changed. I don't know, I just kind of had done the big fancy launches. I'd done and I felt like the online space was not very healthy, and I'd felt like I had a couple of people sort of fall out with me, and it just felt a bit icky. So I kind of moved back into much more, still doing the launches, but doing it on a small level, changing the model a bit, looking at other ways, making it evergreen. Because before it was we did 12-week launches, and we lived and died by this quite quarterly kind of thing. So I've kind of evolved very much, I think, but still allowing me to take really big risks, but in different ways. And I've done a lot more of my personal stuff. Yeah. So like my mortgage. So like I'm mortgaged across 2 properties, like over £1 million. So I used to have personal debt, and now I have mortgage debt, but to me it's against assets. So I'm like, how can I make these assets work? So I rent one out, the other one we're going to do, for photo shoots and locations and weddings. We're having our wedding here, other people have wedding. It's like a 7-bedroom Victorian house, and it's almost like the fun for me now is in how can I make all the things that I've got pay. How can I make money out of everything that I do rather than just my online business, and applying my maverick skills, if you like, into my partner's business. So he owns a timber yard, which is like the least online sort of business ever. It's you buy wood, we sell wood, and that's just turned over £1 million, right? But it's kind of like, how can I apply all the stuff that I've learned into that business? So having a club, collecting email addresses, getting discounts for the tradies, like this is the stuff they've not thought about because they buy and they sell wood. They don't think about the bigger picture, So to me, it's just as exciting growing businesses like that, and allowing somebody to take care of me financially, or take care of not take care, but share the load has been a massive leap for me in my maverick, because I'm like I'll save the day, I'll pay for everything, I'll get dinner, I'll do everything, I'll pay everyone's wages, I'll make sure everyone's okay, and to let somebody else, I've got this, babe. Like, when we go to Vegas, he's like, oh, just pull some money out of that business, or, the wedding, he's like, it's fine, we'll do the wedding, and it's kind of like, oh, sharing it is new to me, but definitely sabotage myself loads of times in business. The roller coaster, the financial roller coaster, what I call like the entrepreneurial kind of energy of, let's make loads of money, let's get rid of all the money, whether we put it somewhere else, invest it, buy things, whatever we do with it, but let's get rid of it so we can have to make it again, because that's what we love and that's how we feel excited, and that's what it's all about. But definitely want to try and look at my own. There must be some accumulator in there must be some nurturer in there. I'm determined to find them, and I love to look at my money and track my money and enjoy my money. So it's all part of it. But definitely in business, I've self-sabotaged a million times in a million different ways. So there's definitely a lot of maverick in me in my business for sure.
Oh man, I wish we could just talk for hours more. Honestly, there's so many places that we could go here. I want to know we're just talking then in the threads about like having to do short-term stuff because you get resentful or you feel like you're in handcuffs for having to do those long-term things. And that's the power of the maverick, right? Is that you can sell anything, doesn't mean you should. You can do lots of things, doesn't mean you should. But the thing that I guess I want to leave you guys with too is the power of technology is so good for mavericks, because maybe as a kid, God, so many of you like youngest in the class because you got bumped up. So you were the different one. And the cool thing is now with the internet is that we can go and scoop up all of those different ones from all around the world. There's literally, no limitation to who you can serve. And we can use that as an amplification, and we can use the automation to support all of those things so you can create that freedom, but without literally burning everything down. And, finding those short-term team members or batching things in your high energy times, but you need the infrastructure behind you to do it. And so when we talk about simplicity, maybe it is things like the all-in-one Kajabi thing. So then you don't have the complication of lots of things. So there's a lot of ahas there around, just finding that way so you don't have to do fuck you to the funnels and burn it all down. It's like, I'll do it, but it's on my terms and it's got to support me, not the other way around. So there's so many nuances there around team and systems that will help us, because I'm a maverick second, to help us thrive, not double down on our self-sabotage and create those unhealthy patterns. So I got so much out of this. I hope you guys did too. All right, I've got to go. Thank you. Honestly, thank you so much for your time and your generosity, guys, and your ideas and your just activating energy. I just appreciate it so much. And I can't wait to see you guys in SMA.
So, are you a ruler, a connector, or a maverick? Hang on, maybe you're more of a romantic or a celebrity. Take the money personality quiz right now and find out which of the 8 money archetypes you are. And then I'm going to teach you how to profit from your strengths and make money in your business based on your natural personality. Click below and find out more.